Alright, this is going to be a big glitch exhibition for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. There's a lot of videos on YouTube showcasing glitches in this game, but not any recent ones. I remember being really young and looking up loads of glitch videos for this game on YouTube, but now I'm a speedrunner of this game and I know a lot more about the game than I used to, including a lot of glitches. And I wanted to showcase the best ones in one video. This won't just be for glitches though, this will also be for exploits and even just easy tips that casuals can use. I am playing on the original Xbox version, but the vast majority of this stuff can be done on every version, and whenever it can't, I will say so. There's a couple general glitches that I want to show first though. So straight away, something that I want to show is lag clips. Lag clips can only be done on original Xbox or 360, but it's easier on original Xbox. For lag clips, you always need SpongeBob's guitar, and the idea is to get a lot of height. And basically, you just want to walk off of a surface, and then before you land on the ground, you do a lag clip. The more height you have, the better. So this is what a lag clip will look like on this version. So what I did, just before landing on the ground, I pressed select to open up the menu, and then I quickly pressed select again, not immediately, there's a tiny bit of waiting time, but you do it in quick succession for sure. And just after the second time you press select to close the menu, you press R. So select R, and then you clip through. On 360, it's best to replace select with start. So that's what it will look like on 360. It takes a while to get the timing down, but this is used in a few categories. There's other forms of lag too. For example, I'm gonna do the same thing, except I'm also going to press the A button, and I'm going to do it while SpongeBob's beginning to descend. Like that. You can also get super jumps. So if you do select, and then hold R and Y, you'll get a big jump like this. You never really see that more than once in any run, but it's still pretty cool. Again though, on non-OG versions, you'd press start, and you actually can do that jump that I just did on every version of the game. It is possible for your jump to get stuck though, like that. You hit bash and guitar at the same time. That means that your bash is now stuck, so you press Y, and then you see that nothing happens, but that's to get bash unstuck. So let me show the best example of down clips and up clips, which is actually in this level. So if you're playing a cheat category like early powers or something, you do a lag clip, and then as you can see, you can just walk down here for a bit. Now normally when you walk this way, there's an invisible wall. However, we can just do lag clips to get around it, but as you can see, again, look, I can't make it to the token normally. Also, you can do lag clips off of like these boats, for example, but it's much harder. So your best bet is using something like this big truck. And then I'm going to go under the invisible wall, and then I'm going to clip back up. Now we're going to go over token 2 frames. A lot of these have turned into lag tech, but it's not actually required. So basically, when you press start, the game still advances for 1 frame. And many objects become invisible, as you can see here. And the menu's just really laggy in general. So what's going to happen is that we're going to walk into this token, and we're going to advance by 1 frame. And if done correctly, we'll pick up the token without having to go through the animation. This is done a lot throughout the run. There are a bunch of tokens that you can't do it with, but most of them you can, and you can do this on every version of the game. So now I'm about to show you the 1 frame. For reference, we have 2 tokens right now. And there you go, now you see that I have 3. And all you have to do to complete this is just warp to any area that you want, and as you can see, we still have 3 and the token's not there anymore. But here's the thing, you don't actually need a 1 frame. I'm about to do a 2 frame, and again, for reference, we have 3 tokens currently. So I was pretty close to the token just then, but I didn't pick it up, I still had 3 tokens. But now if I warp to any area, you'll see that I have 4 tokens instead, and the token isn't there anymore. So imagine the 1 frame token, but you're 1 frame further back. That is the 2 frame. However, the token count doesn't increase when you get the 2 frame. This makes 2 frames extremely risky. They're twice as easy, but they're also incredibly risky because you have no idea if you actually got it or not. Missing one will kill like nearly anyone's run. But now I'm about to show you buffer token animation skips. So imagine the lag inputs that we've already done, except you're interacting with a token at the same time. Now there's quite a few of these that you can do. The easiest ones are whenever you're forced into a token. Those are just by far the easiest. However, you can also jump on top of tokens and then buffer them, which is the hardest form of token buffers. Or you can do a pretty consistent token buffer with Patrick. Lag isn't fully consistent. How much the game lags can depend on a lot. It can depend on your disk drive or even the background music, like how far into the track it is. But yeah, as you can see, we have 4 tokens, and here is a buffer. It might look like I was pretty far off, but I know I got that. So we're gonna walk back to this location, and when I load in, you'll see that I have 5 tokens. They have a lot of leniency, and cartwheel makes it as easy as possible. So you just do, like, cartwheel, select, start. The start input is what's different from before, though. It's not worth buffering SpongeBob tokens, because those levels just don't lag at all. And you can't buffer most end-level tokens, but the majority of the tokens that you can 2-frame in the run, we do buffer. That is if you're on OG. If you're on 360, like, pretty much don't even bother, and other versions can't even lag. I'm gonna show one more piece of lag tech, and it's called damage buffers. So, when SpongeBob or Patrick take damage in this game, when the animation ends, there'll be a 1-frame window in mid-air to press A again, and you'll get a double jump instead of a single jump. Like, normally when you take damage and you press A, nothing happens if you do it too early, and if you do it too late, you just get 1 jump. But like I said, you have a 60th of a second to double jump at the right time. Although it should be said that in this level, it'd be 30 FPS on GameCube, or 25/50 FPS on PAL. SpongeBob has 7 damage animations, however only 2 of them are different from each other, so the timing is otherwise the exact same. However, Patrick has 3 animations and they're all different. And they take longer to end, so it's really hard to do because it sort of makes you feel like you should press A earlier than you should. There we go, there's the 1-frame. There are a few things that we used to use it for, but again, you can just buffer it now, which I will show in a sec. But here's one example of what we used to do. As you can see, we were able to double jump to this area, and then we skipped the entire disco area and saved like 17 seconds or something. Like I said, the inconsistency with lag still applies, but this is still easier than getting the 1-frame. So what you're gonna do, after taking damage, you're gonna wait a little bit, and then you're gonna do select, start, and then you're gonna force that frame out. So it's gonna look like this. And now here's what you do. You press B to close the menu, and then 1 frame later, exactly 1 frame later, you press A. So it'll look like this. For some reason, damage buffers give you more height, which actually makes it possible to ledge grab skip this, which makes the buffer faster than just doing the normal 1-frame here. There are a few applications of this, but this one is by far the biggest. So this is now the Men Flood and Block Challenge, and watch what I'm about to do here. And yeah, as you can imagine, those 2 things in succession save a ridiculous amount of time. But yeah, now we're gonna go to the next general glitch that I want to show. So I'm gonna warp to Shell City Dead Ahead Flood and Block. And when I jump on this, as you can see, I still have a decent amount of speed, right? But this is actually a glitch. I'm not supposed to have this much speed. If you get hit by spit from spitters or Frogfish, because Frogfish has a spit attack, that will reset the speed. The other way is to throw one of these ice cubes and stand on top of it. And now when we go back to Flood and Block, you can see that we are very slow now. We actually want this glitch, so the objective essentially throughout the run until you get here is to not go on any ice or don't get hit by spit. Anyway, now I'm going to show the final general trick, and this one is massive, but again, you can play around with it yourself if you want. Now we're going to do something that disables enemies from attacking you, and this is called box state. You need to be in a box, and the box can't warp you to the other side, so you can't have the other side of the box warp active. But yeah, just stay in a box, and then just warp anywhere you want, essentially. And when we load in, the popper's not hitting me anymore. You can't even tell I'm here, in fact. And as you can see, now I've spawned in these guys, and they're just not interacting with me at all. But now, if I go back in the box, they'll suddenly see me again, so what's up with that? Well, what's basically happening is, when you're in a box, you can't spin, you can't bash, you can't bowl. The only thing you can do for some reason is guitar, and if you warp to a location, you just get stuck in this weird state. But like I said, you can still use guitar, and you just can't get hit by anything, and this is the only move that you can use. In fact, you can't really take damage from anything, really, look. I'm not taking any damage from these electrical things. And with these spikes, for example, just no damage. So yeah, for some reason, I guess enemies just can't detect you when you're in a box, and that's why you're in this state. Now, you might be wondering what useful applications this has. Well, in a run, not really anything because it takes too long to set up, but there are actually a lot of uses casually where you could do this. For example, a lot of people don't like this bungee challenge because there's a lot of electric, but now you just make it completely free. You can't take damage, therefore, like, this is just a completely free challenge now. But here's the big one in my opinion. So let's go to Now Though Men Combat, known for being arguably the worst token in the entire game for its horrible example, enemy spam, well, take a look at this. No damage. But yeah, the reason why this isn't useful in a run is because look at how far you'd have to go just to kill them all. Look, like, if you can only attack them with Katala, you can imagine, like, why this is slow, you know? But yeah, casually, I mean, this is pretty good. Like, it makes these challenges completely free. In case you're wondering about Patrick, all he can do is slam and throw. Also, if you're wondering if characters can drown, they still can, but if you get them in a state where they only would have just taken knockback damage, they'll instead just take no damage. Also, Hans can still grab you, unfortunately. To this day, we still don't have a Hans disabled in this game. The only exception to the enemies not hitting you is actually the bosses. They're programmed to hit you no matter where you are on the map, so that's probably why. So as you can see here, Neptune's gonna try and attack me. And he won't be able to do anything, but he'll act like he did hit me, so it will, like, restart the phase. And also, I can't even spin these tables, so I can't progress anyway. Oh yeah, one quick thing I forgot to mention is that for some reason, jellyfish will still try to hit you. Which is weird, because other than bosses, they're the only enemy that still try to hit you. There's one final thing that I want to show off, and it's known as a box lock. It requires lag, and probably is OG exclusive because of how much lag you need. But yeah, you need both sides of the box open this time. And what you're gonna do is lag the game while it's trying to process that you went in the box. So that should hopefully be enough. Alright, so as you can see, I have box lock now. I can't move my character whatsoever. So the reason why this happens is because it's trying to teleport you to the box, and it thinks that you're still in the box, but you're not in the box. If you set a box lock and then go to any level other than the one that you set a box lock in, then the game will play as normal. In fact, I don't even think you'll have box state. But if you warp back to the level that you set this in, i.e. Planktopolis in this case, then you'll be completely stuck when you load back in. I can't move whatsoever, the enemy can't see me. In fact, I can't even open the menu, because when you go through a box normally, you can't open the menu. So yeah, now I'm completely soft-locked and I have to reboot the console. There are a few more general glitches and stuff that can affect every level, but for now, I just want to go to No Cheese and show off the first actual glitch in this level. Alright, so for the only thing that I'm going to show off here, we're going to go out of bounds, but without using lag. So you just want to jump up here, and it's a little weird, like the spot that you jump in, but it's somewhere around here. There you go. It's not too hard. You can walk up to that area, although clipping back in is actually a massive pain. The cooler thing to do, honestly, is just to walk out of bounds by here. And then you can just explore for a while. So one thing you can do is walk all the way back to the beginning and, like, you know, go check out SpongeBob's Pineapple and stuff like that. The other thing you can do is just walk up to the Krusty Krab, but again, like, you can't get to the token without lag clips. If you warp back to the beginning, or if you just do lag clips, you can see, you know, Pineapple, Squidward's House, Patrick's Rock. You can even see Sand Mountain. You can see Goo Lagoon over there, and you can see downtown. I was always absolutely fascinated with out-of-bounds stuff in this game and Battle for Bikini Bottom, because as a kid, like, these background areas look very real. But yeah, this brings out a lot of nostalgia in me, because I always wanted to do this as a kid. Like, look at this view that I have now. I always wanted to do this as a kid. It's really satisfying to be able to do this now. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's just go to the next level. Alright, first thing that's gonna be shown in this level is kind of weird, but I like it. We're just gonna get some height here, and then we're gonna jump up here. As you can see now, Patrick's in this weird state. And we can just move around for a bit, but if I press Y here, then Patrick can sometimes sort of zip warp like that. But generally what happens is that he'll get stuck like this. And you can just jump out of it, but yeah, I don't know, I thought this was cool. The next thing that we're gonna do is talk to Mindy while being SpongeBob. This is possible under normal means, but we're gonna do it before Patrick ever gets to Mindy, and that results in a weird effect. So we're gonna get to the end of the level, like, very quickly. We do this in speedruns normally, but yeah, this is necessary for the trick. So as you can see, just getting up here. You need, like, good jump spacing and stuff, but the most important part now is that we can be SpongeBob. You can just warp to the Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge if you have it, though. There is an old task sheet, you can look it up. And now, if we just jump over here, then we can make our way to Mindy. All you have to do for this is to just jump over here, and then you can easily just make it over to this side. But yeah, now watch what happens when we talk to Mindy as SpongeBob for the first time.
Okay, Patrick. Since you've brought me enough Goofy Goober tokens, you may now use the cartwheel move.
Time to spin? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy!
You'd better get going, Patrick. There's lots to do.
Yeah, she'll think you're Patrick. And then if you talk to her as SpongeBob now...
Well, hello there, SpongeBob.
That's what she does anyway when you come over here. This is what happens if you have already talked to Mindy, didn't originally have enough tokens, and then you have enough tokens with SpongeBob.
Well, hello there, SpongeBob.
As you can see, she just won't give you the cartwheel move. Alright, so I only just remembered this, so I was setting up something else, but you see this tunnel, right? This is used for the Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge and nothing else. But you can actually get up here as Patrick or even SpongeBob, as you can see. There isn't much to it, but I don't know, I always wanted to get up here as a kid and I didn't know how to, so I don't know, I think this is pretty cool. So the last thing I'm showing with this little exploit is if you go through the entire level of SpongeBob, when you get here, normally you're supposed to be Patrick, and this does happen multiple times throughout the game. Like, you'll be playing as one character, and then the other character will show up in the distance, but you can't actually make it to them. If I were Patrick right now, and then I swapped to SpongeBob, then this SpongeBob wouldn't be present. However, because we went around, and the game wasn't expecting that, now we can actually chill with SpongeBob here. I always wanted to do this as a kid, and being able to actually do it now is awesome. Okay, so this next trick is known as guitar storage. This is actually used in runs in a later level in certain categories to save a lot of time, but you can actually start doing it here. Not fast here, but there is something cool that you can do with it. So what we're gonna do for this, right, is that we are gonna try and get this text box to play the guitar challenge, even though we won't be standing on the pad. So it's a little tricky, but if you press R to get this text box and get off of the pad at the same time, like this, then as you can see, we have the text box. There's a few cool things that you can do with this, like you can complete the guitar challenge without actually standing on the pad. That doesn't do anything useful though, but yeah, so if you just activate the guitar challenge, you just spawn back here. But as you can see now, if I ledge grab and then start it, it doesn't teleport me. Here's one example of something cool. We're gonna activate the guitar challenge. As you can see, the target's here, but as you'll find out, you can't just break the target and then get the token like that. You have to go through all the rings. But we are about to do something that, in my opinion, is really cool. So when you walk over to that area, a cutscene will normally start. But what we can do is activate the guitar challenge while the cutscene is playing. I don't know if it's possible on 360, but it's definitely possible on every other version. So yeah, we're gonna lag the game to prevent the cutscene from loading as fast, and then we're gonna activate the guitar challenge. Alright, so I struggled to get the trick because it's really hard on OG Xbox, so instead I'm going to show you the video that originally showcased it back in 2013. But yeah, as you can see, this is supposed to happen. You start the guitar challenge, but you can hear the cutscene playing in the background. And as you can see, the cutscene is playing. In-game cutscenes use the character model, so this makes sense. But yeah, when you fail the guitar challenge, it just teleports you back here, unfortunately. Here's another instance of this, by the way. If you delay it long enough, you can see Patrick spawn, they drag him up. So in this cutscene, Patrick must be hiding, like, underneath this area. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you something called Guitar Glide. This does have some useful applications. Some of them are to do with lag, some of them aren't. First, I'm gonna show it without lag. So basically, what we're gonna do is just before wall jumping, we're going to press R to initiate guitar, and then we're gonna be floating in air. So it'll look like this. As you can see, I'm floating. I don't have much control. In fact, I'm being forced in a direction. However, you can guide yourself if you spin. If you just keep spinning, then you actually have a lot of control. But yeah, there's a couple cool things I want to show with this. So as you can see now, if I just land on the ground, it'll be put back into a normal state. However, if you land on the ground while you're in the middle of spinning, you'll still be stuck in this weird state. As you can see, so now it's still pushing me to the left again. And the way that you get out of this, you know, you can jump, you can bash, you can just do whatever, and then you go back into a normal state. Now, the other cool thing that you can do is get inside of this porter head and then switch to Patrick. And I can spin and I can guide myself, but yeah, I can't exactly do much like this. And the weird thing about this is that jumping won't bring you out of the state as Patrick. In fact, you're completely stuck if this happens, pretty much. So now I'm going to show a lag clip with this. So we're gonna press R, obviously, as we always did, but then right after pressing R, we're just going to do 2 select presses. So it should look like this. And now we're out of bounds, and if I spin, then I can guide myself. And hopefully, if the game is generous, then... Okay, so if you hold R while on the marshmallow, you might be able to clip back in. There's like a 1 in 3 chance or something that you'll just clip into the marshmallow and just softlock yourself, essentially. Doing the trick in this level does save time in one category, but it's not done because, again, you have like a 1 in 3 chance or something to just clip into the marshmallow for no reason. I was looking through the Discord server, and I actually found this, and given my reaction, I have no idea what caused it, and I was never able to replicate it, but yeah, Patrick's invisible and the enemies are invisible. No idea why, but I wanted to show that real quick. Alright, finally I got this. So I think this can only be done in Depression combat, and I think it can only be done in Wave 2 because of how much of a boost those peanut guys give you. But yeah, there's nothing really that cool or interesting you can do with this. You can just explore this area to your heart's content, I guess. So here's the last thing that I'm showing in this level. Once again, I'm using one of Cole's videos because I believe this is actually impossible on Xbox for some reason. Anyway, you need both of these boxes unlocked, and you need to die in this area, and then go through the box, and then you damage yourself, and then these marshmallows would just stop floating up, as you can see here. No idea why this happens or anything, and no idea why it doesn't work on Xbox. There's no useful application for it, but it's really cool. And now we can finally move on to sandwich driving. Okay, so what we're gonna do in sandwich driving is an out-of-bounds strat. We're gonna nitro on this truck, land on the grass, and then reverse into the dirt, and then we can complete the rest of the level. You have to grab all the checkpoints in the level for the finish line trigger to spawn, which I already did. Like, as you can see down there, it was a trigger down there and I already grabbed it. Also, something worth noting is that the paddy wagon speeds and height you get off ramps is different on every single version of the game. PAL is always slower than NTSC, which is to say that European is always slower than the American version. And GameCube has the fastest driving speed, while Xbox 360 for some reason has the worst driving speeds. However, again, the slower you are, the more height you get off ramps. I'm playing on NTSC original Xbox, so it does have decent height. But yeah, I'm just letting you know because that'll change the difficulty of what I'm about to do. Alright, there we go. So now I need to carefully reverse. And now I'm out of bounds. And then, I don't know the exact path, but again, you can make it to the end of the level now. Okay, when you do make it here, all you have to do is just touch the finish line like this, and then you complete the challenge. Also, in case you're wondering, no, this does not save time in a run. It loses like 6 seconds or something. But here is an out of bounds that actually does save time. So this is known as sandwich out of bounds. I'm using a mod right now, but you need to like hit this trigger, and then you turn back, and then you're gonna nitro on a dirt pile, and then get on top of this bulldozer here. And then with a good setup and a good angle and all that, you'll make it to the other side. It is harder than it looks. There's like some invisible walls. Getting the right angle can be pretty tricky. But yeah, if you do it perfectly, it saves like 12 seconds or something. But again, you need to hit that trigger or else the finish line trigger won't spawn. This got found like just before I finished editing this video. But this is an even faster and cooler version of Sandwich Out of Bounds. Found by yours truly. I've been running this game for 6 years and this is the biggest time save I've ever found. And it saves like 4 seconds. Anyway, you want to look at the right side gameplay. So you nitro here immediately, way harder than it looks. Then you have to lose like the right amount of speed, way harder than it looks. Then you need a nitro over here, touch the thing. I had to splice this together because I literally couldn't get it. And then you have to nitro back, and again, there's like a billion invisible walls, and it's horrible, and it's probably not being done in runs ever, but it is a thing that you can do. Yeah, you can also do that, but it's slower and harder, but I just wanted to show it real quick. There is another out-of-bounds strat, but it's, like, physically impossible on the version that I'm on. But, yeah, you can, like, go out of bounds in the park area and then make it to the other side. It saves a few seconds. Yeah, that's basically everything in Sandwich Driving, so let's just move on to 3K. So in 3K, you unlock the bash move, and we are going to use it to get big damage boosts, and we use this a lot on a run. But I think it's even just cool to do casually, and it's extremely easy. So the bash button, for me, it's Y. You will be able to use it in midair after getting damaged, and you have an unbelievable amount of time to do this. So what I'm gonna do is jump into the cacti to get a damage boost. So setting up a bash boost can only be done when you're off the ground. So when I say now, that'll be me telling you when I start holding Y, okay? Now. And as you can see, like, you can hold Y pretty much as soon as you're off the ground. This has a ton of useful applications, but I'm not going to be showing most of them off because you can imagine what you can do with it. There is a weird thing that can happen with this, by the way, called cacti glitch. If you die in cacti, and then when you respawn, you try to do a bash boost, sometimes you just won't get any knockback when you get damaged by the cacti. It's seemingly completely random. Okay, so that's what it looks like in this state. But it is sometimes possible to still do a bash boost if you just touch the cacti again, but a lot of the time that doesn't work for some reason. Alright, now we'll be doing the most well-known out of bounds in this level, and it's quite easy too. With good timing and good jump spacing and stuff, and remember you can hold A to extend the height of your jumps, you can make it above the bungee area, and now you're out of bounds. There's a lot of exploring that you can do with this, but you can do the same thing with an even easier method I'm about to show you. Goo in this game has 2 layers. There's the layer that's for visuals, and then there's the damage layer. So normally you get damaged, but in this corner, you go through the layer that can't damage you, and now you're out of bounds. And now with this, we can jump over to this area, and then we can sort of navigate around a bit. And then you turn around by here, make your way up, and then this part, if you just turn the camera this way, you'll be able to see where you're supposed to go. And then this is just another method of getting out of bounds. And I actually quite like this one because you can quickly make your way to roughly where the gas station is. You actually can't make it to the gas station because of an invisible wall, but you can make your way down to where these hillbillies are. If you just jump down, then as you can see, if you just walk back here, then you get to chill with these guys. Okay, so correction actually, you can make it to the gas station. When you try to get over there, just everything turns invisible. But you can interact with the gas station if you really wanna. So here's the final out of bounds thing I'm gonna show, and this is actually used in runs. You can go out under the ground and then just, like, you can't spam A, you can't do it too slow or too fast, you need to keep a rhythm. But yeah, so normally, like, you do this area in the run with, like, SpongeBob. You can, like, double jump spin over to this area and just do this to SpongeBob instead of Patrick. But you can also go out of bounds and do some bash boosting stuff. And then go back in bounds like this. This saves a lot in the run. And yeah, I just wanted to show it off because it's an actual useful, like, out of bounds thing in this level that saves time. Okay, so for this, I couldn't get it for some reason, so I found a video made by someone called Nito King, and this was apparently found in 2014. So normally there's a hand trigger at the bottom of this pit. So doing a precise spin allows you to just get off of the bungee hook, and then you can just chill down here. You just never hit the hand trigger for whatever reason. So this is a very small thing, but I wanted to show it off. I've known about this since I was like 9 or something, so I have a bit of nostalgia for it. So there's a spitter here. However, if you get stuck in this rock in the right way for long enough, then eventually you can get the hand to grab you, and when you respawn, you can see the spitter above me, and then he just vanishes, and his shadow's still here for some reason. Not a big thing at all, but again, I like it. So there's just 2 more things that I want to show off. So normally, you go into the trampoline, fight some guys, and then you take a trampoline to get to that little island. But this is one of the few times where I'm actually just going to show you that you can bash boost, because, yeah, you can just skip an entire section, and it's really easy. And the other way of skipping the arena is to do a bash boost up here. And then, there's some invisible walls and stuff, but generally if you do this, it's pretty easy to navigate to the end. Okay, I forgot about this earlier, and I'm bad so I can't do it, but this is just another thing that Cole found in 2013. But yeah, there's an out of bounds spot there, and you can go and just do some ceiling swimming. This is another version of arena skip, essentially. Yeah, you can just make your way around here. And then, yeah, it's pretty precise, and then you clip back in by doing a bash, I believe, yeah. So this isn't a glitch, and it's really hard, but I just really wanted to show it off. It's called Rubber Dub Skip. There's some tutorials for it and stuff, but yeah, you can just skip, like, basically the entire level. Anyway, the main thing I wanted to show off here, well, first we have to do a trick, and it's called Dumb Jump. You know, just hold A to extend your jumps. You know, you get a lot of coyote frames. But yeah, that's just the first part of this, is just doing Dumb Jump. Alright, so after doing Dumb Jump, which, by the way, you cannot die during any of this, or else this won't work. So what you've done is skip some targets and stuff. and you've unloaded certain things. So normally, there's foggers around here, and you saw just then that I collided with some of them, but I can't kill them or anything. If you get stuck for a long time there, they actually can hit you with their burp attack. But yeah, no, you just can't destroy them. And also, just now, the target was completely invisible. And it says 4 out of 5 towers destroyed, even though I've only destroyed a couple. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Rubber Dub. I mean, there is this, which is kind of cool, but yeah, you can't really do anything cool with this. I just wanted to show it off real quick. So for Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt, or BBBH for short, immediately you can just basically skip the entire level with one trick. It's known as slide jumps, but they are pretty difficult. On GameCube, this level plays at 30 FPS, so this is much easier, but on PS2 and Xbox, it's going to be much harder. So what you're going to do is jump to the end of the slide, and then when you get pushed back, you can see that you have like some coyote frames to start jumping, and then this is where you start jumping back. So when you land on this tube, you have a 2-frame window to jump, and depending on which frame you get, you'll either only get one jump retained or both of the jumps. But yeah, this is only a 2-frame window, so this can be hard, especially if you have some input delay. But yeah, generally a good visual cue is to jump when Patrick's left foot, like, lands on the ground. But yeah, you're just gonna climb up this tube for a little bit, and you're gonna keep jumping until you get to around here. And now what you've done is activate a trigger for these enemies to spawn at the end of the level. You're probably wondering about the enemies that are already here since the very beginning of the level, but those don't immediately end the level. What I just did was hit a trigger to spawn these enemies instead. And then all I have to do is kill this last enemy and the token will spawn, but this is where I'm going to show something else. If the game tries to warp you, but you ledge grab during it, then it won't be able to warp you. So here's an example of that. So I'm going to ledge grab, skip the cutscene, and then as you can see, I was supposed to get teleported around here, but I actually didn't get teleported. But yeah, this is used in every single category, and it can range from like over a minute of time save to just like 20 seconds. This next thing I'm going to show you is really inconsistent, but essentially we're going to skip a lot of buttons. I couldn't get it the most optimal way, so Actual Chatteeth was the person who found this. However, Bottle Hippie is the person doing the gameplay that I'm showing right now. But yeah, it's a really stupid, awkward angle, right amount of distance type of thing. You can skip, like, almost this entire room and save, like, a few seconds. The only thing to show left for this level is actually another guitar storage-related thing. And this is known as BBBH backwards, and it's actually very fast in 2 categories. But yeah, I'm gonna show the gist of it. You don't actually need guitar storage to go backwards, but it makes it faster and cooler. So yeah, we're gonna cartwheel double jump over, like, this cutscene, and then we're just gonna go backwards for a little bit. So when we activate the guitar challenge, this floorboard despawns, and as you can see now, if we ledge grab and then activate the challenge, the floorboard is gone. So if you just mash A, then you'll just easily make it above the floorboard. Now, when you make it to this checkpoint, you can activate the guitar challenge, and then when you switch back to SpongeBob, all you have to do then is drown yourself, and you'll actually respawn to the lava room as SpongeBob. This is normally impossible, and you might be wondering why this is useful. For some reason, this throwing fruit challenge, you know, you're supposed to use Patrick normally. But as you can see, we can just use SpongeBob, and you do need upgraded guitar to hit this button. When we do this, the token will spawn on top of us, and then we can just collect it for free, and then we can keep going backwards. You can go backwards as SpongeBob, or you could go backwards as Patrick. There's a bunch of different methods, but the easiest and pretty much the fastest one is just do it as SpongeBob. So yeah, you can just walk back for a bit, but like the main thing is just guitaring this button over there. And then yeah, you're just gonna keep walking backwards for a bit again. Now for this, you either need upgraded guitar, or you need to like use Patrick's upgraded slam and throw. But yeah, you can literally just skip the disco token. And yeah, all of this in a run saves like, God, I think it's like 50 seconds or something. But now I'm going to show you the last thing in this level, and this is obviously not useful, but I think it's really cool, so I want to show it off. And as you can see, now we can hang around with these guys. There isn't much to this, but I don't know, I think it's really cool. I've always wanted to do this since I was a kid. For no Weenie Parking, there is only really one thing to show off, and it is theoretically fast as speedruns, but it's way too difficult to actually use in a run. This is going to be an out of bounds, and it's a huge pain, trust me. So the idea with the out of bounds is to grab all of the keys in one lap, because normally you can only grab one of the keys on lap 3. However, it takes so long to grab the key with this out of bounds strat that it saves like basically nothing. Alright, there we go. It's a little precise, but it is perfectly doable. And then what you're supposed to do at this point is just travel along here for a while. Also, the trigger at the finish line won't spawn unless you get all of the keys, so that is why we need all of the keys. After a while, you make it over here, and the idea is to travel up this for a bit, and then use 2 nitros, and then get a really big bounce and grab the key. I will, like, definitely fail this, but I'll give it my best shot. Okay, yeah, no, that was not even remotely close. Alright, I'll throw a clip on the screen of somebody else getting it. It's really, really hard and inconsistent. But yeah, if you do all that and then grab all of the other keys in one lap, then you'll save like 3 seconds or something. Okay, the only notable thing in Frogfish... Well, first of all, if you slam the tongue like high up, then... yeah, you can just quickly hit it the second time. You can't do that with the next pair of hits, though. But yeah, if you stay close to the edge here, then the tongue will actually spawn, like, out of bounds. And sometimes it'll even struggle to come up, like it is now. But yeah, as you can see, it just kind of freaked out just then. And then you can even kill it, and then the hammer won't grab you or anything, but yeah, that's the only notable thing here, really. Luckily, though, the next thing is as soon as we load into Rock Slide, and there is a slightly faster way of doing this, but I'm just going to show it the easiest way possible. Mash start as soon as you talk to Mindy. This only really applies to the first token, though. So what you're going to do, you're going to hold back, and then you're going to press B to close the menu, and then you're going to do 2 very well-timed jumps. So it should look like this. And then you'll make it out of bounds. You can also just have the hand grab you, respawn, and then double jump back here, but it's not fast then. But yeah, this is for a trick named Skydive, and this might seem slow, but it actually saves like 9 seconds or something. But yeah, you can't go too close to the right side or else the hand will grab you. But yeah, you just gotta go along this way for a little bit. And when you make it over here, this is your visual cue. You can just drop down, and then you'll be at the end of a tunnel section. And again, this might seem really slow, but it's actually surprisingly fast. But yeah, after a really long drop, hold back, build up some speed, hold forward, and yeah, then you've just successfully done the trick. If you don't want to do Skydive, then there is something else that you can do. Well, first you can do a precise jump here, but the actual thing is damage boosting off of this eel. So just double jump, and then you can just easily make it over to the other side. This next thing isn't like a glitch or anything, but it's pretty cool. It's just avoiding some hand triggers. You can drop down here, like hug the left side for a while, and then after a bit, they just like steer right, and you can skip a big section again. This next thing is, once again, not a glitch, but it's just like an easy thing. The reason why I'm showing you all this is because the Rock Slide Macho Time Challenge is really stupid. So, you know, just figure to make your lives easier by just doing some of these pretty easy tricks. And now here's a final trick towards the end of the level. Well, there's 2 ways to do this, but I'm just showing you like the very easy one. So when you get to roughly where that flower is, you can just turn left, jump. It's not very hard at all, and then you can just easily make it to the end, just save some extra time. Also, just so you know, going on the right side is 1 second faster than going on the left side by here. But yeah, now we can finally get to Nather Man, which has a lot of really cool glitches and stuff. So normally, the game expects you to guitar the stack to spawn an extra here. You can actually use Upgraded Bowl, though. There's a lot of ways that you can use it. For example, you can stand here, and that would have worked. You can do it like this, although that's a little less consistent. You can do it like this. And you can even do it like this, which is the way that I currently do it. But there's another way that you can do it that is slower and really hard. It's really precise, but you can do a spin, double jump spin to make it over to that area. Again, like I said, you get a lot of coyote frames, but you can spin to get even more coyote frames. But yeah, once you make it up here, you can just get up here, and then you can just bowl this or do whatever. But also, if you go around the side, you can see part of the level out of bounds. Can't really do anything here. There's a bunch of invisible walls and stuff, but I just wanted to show it off. I think it's cool. This next part, yeah, I think you can tell they made the game in like 2 seconds. You can literally just double jump, spin, and fall into the void here. I'll be showing another guitar glide clip because I think it's just really cool. I'm not gonna explain much because I already explained how this works earlier. But yeah, there was like an invisible like thing out of bounds. But now we're just gonna navigate around. There's an invisible wall here, so you need to kind of like go up left after that bit. And then, yeah, you can just skip, like, this entire section. There are actually 2 other ways to skip almost the entirety of Tunnel, and I'll show them off now. So you come up to about this area, and then you can ledge grab this and go out of bounds. And then, yeah, there's a lot of invisible walls in this level. But you can eventually slowly make your way down to this area, and then you do some ceiling swimming, and then it's pretty precise, but it is possible to bowl the lobster from this distance. You need to bowl him 3 times, and then it'll teleport you up. However, there's an even faster method found by Latte a couple years ago. So it's pretty similar, like, for a sec, and then instantly it changes. This would be extremely difficult. You need to face these shots in a row, and you know, they're pretty unpredictable until, you know, you're already going out of bounds. This is not viable whatsoever because we need the bungee token because it's really fast, and the tunnel has a bunch of manliness points that we use, but still, it's a cool proof of concept. So here's another out of bounds. The spot itself was found by Foggy, but then the actual clipping back in bounds bit was found by Toxic Pinhead. This is like just after like the small platform cycles after that pit of lava. You just, like, it's a little precise, but you bash boost to, like, this area. So it's extremely precise and horrible and saves, like, nothing, and it skips manliness points. But it is possible to, like, fall out of bounds and then ledge grab back in bounds, as you can see here. And then if you wanted to do bungee, you'd have to, like, bowl this eel. And the final tunnel clip requires guitar. It's known as an R clip, so you just spam R a little bit, and then you can see that I clip through, and then you can just clip back in like this. So here's the last thing that I'm going to be showing off in Tunnel. It's another guitar glide. I think it can only be done here. So you want to spin when landing on the slide, and you'll get a weird effect, as you can see. It's really strange. I've tried it for a bit, but I can't get the exact effect I want, so I'll put Cole's video on the screen. But you can go a lot further with this, apparently. So now we're in the second area of Now That We're Men, and we're going to immediately do something that I think is really cool. We're gonna use this trampoline to get on top of there, which, by the way, you can use this trampoline to, like, jump over to this other side and skip this entire section. But anyway, we're gonna do this. And then it is a little tough, but we can get out of bounds. Like that, and then we can clip back in with lag. And now, as you can see, we're at this pretty big section of the tunnel that's here for some reason. My theory is that Now That We're Men was originally going to be one big level, as opposed to being split into 2 sections. But yeah, you can just use guitar and just have a good look around for yourself if you'd like. But the actual cool part of this is that there's some objects out of bounds, and we'll be able to see them now. As you can see, look, there's a button, there's a fence, there's a melon, there's like something down there. So clearly you were supposed to do some sort of challenge with Patrick. It's hard to say what this would have been for, but as you can see, it's close to this little arena thing. Maybe originally you had to get to the arena as Patrick. Either way, if you home in on this with guitar, as you can see now, the fence starts to open, which is really strange. If you hit it again, nothing will happen the second time. Even though bash boosting is kind of obvious, I just wanted to show, like, this stuff is possible. Like, here's Chris Skip, so that you can go and get this token early. You can also grab it from these platforms up here, but by being Patrick and then doing the spin, cartwheel, double jump. The other thing you can do is Monster Skip, which I'm not going to go too in detail for, but looks like this, essentially. That damage booster send, like, it could have been a bash boost if you wanted it to be. But here's how to do something similar to that, but it's actually easy, because, yeah, this will let you skip, like, that entire huge arena over there. So you have to do then, you can't have too good of jump spacing, we do want it to be decent, and then you just do double jump spin. And then you can literally just make it over here like that. So for Now That We're Men floating block, there's only one notable thing, but it's quite big. We're going to skip like half the level, and it's not even difficult. So normally, when you get this checkpoint, the hand triggers in the level will move. However, we're going to avoid this checkpoint, and then the hand triggers will never move further up, and then we can do a little trick. So first, you want to wait for this block, be on the right cycle, and then you just kind of jump around, and then you can make it to this block. And you've already set it up pretty much, so all you have to do now is just make make it over there. So yeah, it's around here, so you go here, and then you can just cartwheel off and make it to the token like this. It does mean that you can't get the extra at the end of the level, but it saves quite a bit of time and is relatively easy. The first thing I'm going to show in Shell City Dead Ahead, or SCDA, is going to be pretty complicated to explain, so bear with me. This will work in any level as long as you have a steel crate and Patrick's upgraded throw. It'd probably be easier to show it and then explain it. So here goes nothing. Okay, so what I just did is called Invisible Crate. You can't stand too close or too far away. The collision here is essentially acting like the safe never broke. Just imagine for a second if Upgraded Throw didn't break the crate when it collided with a wall. I threw it about here, and with the amount of force I had, it would bounce it to about this direction. Now, in case you're wondering why you get such a massive height boost, I personally believe it has to do with like the amount of speed that you did throw the crate originally, and it's converted into vertical momentum. Also, another thing is that it'll sort of do this weird, like, scoop. It's like it'll begin to slide down a little, and then you'll get upshot, like, a lot. And if you do, like, a cartwheel jump, then you get even more height. It should be said that the less frame rate you have, the harder this is, so this is harder on PAL, but not by much. So yeah, the whole point of this is to hit this toast. In this level, if you hit the toast in all 3 toasters across this area, then an extra will spawn, and you're expected to do all of it with guitar during the guitar challenge, and you'd lose like 2 minutes or something. So this is crucial for 100% in all extras. There is one more use of Invisible Crate that you'll see soon. But real quick, I just want to show off Cirque Skip. Not a glitch or anything, but again, like this video is also for like some tips and stuff, so this should just do like a spin, cartwheel, double jump, and yeah, this is even easier than just doing it casually. I'll also show this actually, SCDA Out of Bounds it's called. It's quite difficult and hard to explain, but if you can't do it, then like I said earlier, you can literally just enable box state and get through this entire section like quite easily. But yeah, what you want to do is either have the foggers burp on you or like to spawn on top of you. And then as you can see, like, we have, like, some weird momentum going on. This is speed that's stored in the ice block, and then you can essentially slingshot yourself up here. My tip for this is generally jump later than you think you need to, because most people struggling with this jump too early. But then, yeah, you can just navigate around out of bounds, and then you can just make it to the other side like this. This does skip the SpongeBob warp, but you can just use these melons over here, like stack them over here, and then jump back up to grab the warp. Alright, now time for one of the oldest out-of-bounds methods in this game that was ever discovered. So you're gonna jump on top of this, and then you are going to... It's a little tricky, but yeah, you can see what I did just then. You can just go out of bounds pretty easily like this. And there is some stuff out here, so it's pretty interesting. But there isn't really too much to this. I think the coolest thing, in my opinion, is being able to do this. There's no practical use of it, I just think it's cool. Alright, and that's the second use of Invisible Crate. Alright, there we go. If you do it properly, you can just sort of spam A and, like, get all the way up this tube. It is pretty finicky, and I honestly don't like it. And you still have to do some 2-frame slide jumps towards the end, because, like, the ceiling gets too high. Well, if you're choking like I am right now, then you'll just fail to make it to the top regardless. That method shown actually does about break even or save a second compared to the standard method, which, in my opinion, this is honestly just easier. And it lets you get better at slide jumps quicker, but yeah, like, you can just do this and get up the tube like this. Your visual cue for this is the hand on the right. Keep walking forward around here, and then as soon as it disappears, just throw it, and then it's just super consistent. And then all you have to do is jump all the way up, and this saves like a minute over going around. Here's another little thing. Instead of throwing the melon at this TV, you can just do a cartwheel double jump or a spin cartwheel double jump. And then you can see that this is blocked off, but then you can literally just do this. So it's like a double time save. The last thing I want to show in this level is just like a little tip because it's easier than the normal method. So just hold upgraded throw and hold forward on this trampoline, and yeah, you'll just destroy the TV instead of having to go around all these fans and stuff. Now, as for SCDA floating block, there is one thing here, and it actually does work on Now and Then floating block too, but it's easier to set up here. What we're essentially going to do is an infinite timer glitch. When the timer hits 0, we are going to touch this checkpoint, and then the game won't know what to do. Because normally when you hit 0, all the platforms disappear. But yeah, we'll just be able to trick the game, essentially. Alright, as you can see there, we have 0 on the timer. So yeah, honestly, considering it's a little tricky, I don't really even recommend it, even if you are struggling with this. But I mean, if you really want to do it, then here it is. So for Sunday, what we are going to do is something called Fast Goob. This is when you get much further ahead than Goofy Goober, and you can finish the level a lot quicker. It starts on lap 2. There's no check to see if you have, like, passed this shortcut right here. You can't take the shortcut on lap 1, but you can on lap 2. Now you just need to hope he doesn't rubber band too hard. You can do this. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into a bunch of detail about that, but that is a thing that you can do. But yeah, now we're gonna try and maintain a lead, and then we're gonna try and get to the finish line, like, as soon as possible. Yeah, that's another thing that you can do, but both things I did are quite hard, especially that one just then. But you don't need them to do this trick. So like I said, you know, now we're on lap 3, we can do it again. You could have done this on lap 3 anyway, but that's really risky. It's best to do it on lap 2. So normally, the game would force you to, like, take the water slides, but you don't have to take the water slide in this state. But yeah, hopefully if you make it to the finish line fast enough, one of Goob's triggers won't activate. Like, if Goob passes a trigger before you reach the finish line, he can fail you and even potentially kind of soft lock you. There are a few more things I want to show, though none of them are useful, but they're pretty cool. Alright, well that was one of them. I was expecting that to take a really long time because it's a huge pain, but yeah, I just got a first try. Now this path isn't actually fast, but what it does let you do is get this extra during the time challenge if you want to. However, you can actually grab the extra as early as lap 2 on Sunday 1, you know, on the first token. Although that is quite difficult because Goofy Goober makes that a challenge, but yeah, you can literally just do this and just grab the extras, so you don't have to do the ring challenge to get all of the extras in this game. But here's the final thing I wanted to show, and this was actually the first thing that ever got found in this level. It's a little awkward to time, and again, it's going to be easier or harder depending on the version you're on, but it's possible to nitro up here and get out of bounds. If you keep, like, navigating around the level, you can actually prevent the rest of it from spawning, but that's not very useful, even though it is pretty visually interesting. The other thing you can do is just explore around for a while and even drop into the void. But since I'm here, I might as well show the level not loading, because I just, you know, mentioned it, I might as well do it. Okay, after a million years, I finally made it. So this is what happens when you go, like, really far out. Yeah, unfortunately, not useful for anything. It doesn't do anything cool, like spawn the end level trigger or anything cool like that. Alright, next level. Google Eyes and Smelly Knacks, otherwise known as Gask. So there's only 2 things to show here. The first one is the red wire exploit, and this can be done in the time challenge too. So if you touch this red wire and then die, so either go in the tank or die in the TNT, you'll spawn much further up in the level. This makes the time challenge like 25 seconds faster or something. And the second thing is guest jumps, which are about to happen right now. You know BBBH and 3-meter slide jumps, how they were 2 frames? Those jumps just then were 1 frames. Not just that, you have a terrible visual cue for when you get back on the wire as well. And the wire keeps progressively going up. So it becomes hard to, like, maintain a rhythm. And of all the slide jumps shown in this video, those ones save the least amount of time. They're only usable in both time challenges. They can't be used on the first token. The world record on the time challenges is about a 102. And with the red wire exploit I showed just a minute ago, you can get, like, a 120, and without any of those things, I think the fastest you can get is like a 146. It's unknown exactly who found this, but it's been known for a very long time. So as you can see here, all you have to do on PS2 is just double jump spin to the end. You don't even have to go this far. Oh, you don't have to spin, actually. And then you can just... Well, you fall into a void, but there is, like, a platform at the bottom. And you can just explore around. There's only so much space that you have. But yeah, it's really strange that this is only on PS2. I have no idea why this is the case. Planktopolis, or Plank for short, might be the most broken level in the game. There are a ton of ways to get out of bounds and explore. And there's a lot of strats to make this level incredibly fast and speedrunning. In fact, a lot of the strats that we do actually make the level easier. There's some lag clips and stuff that you can do, but I would imagine that you've already thought of that. I decided while editing that I would show the lag clip here because it's useful in all tokens and 100%. But yeah, you just go under this, you set your spawn by going by here, you grab this token, and then when you respawn, you're up here, And then to make it as fast as possible, you do a Y plus R jump, and then you make it over to the other side. Also, for bungee, you can't get the token like this, but you can do a Y plus R jump, and then you can lag clip off of this. And then this part is quite a bit harder, but you can, like, land on top of this, or if you get close enough, you've, like, already unlocked the warp, and then all you have to do is warp to the combat arena, and then you've just done all the lag clips. I think in all tokens on 100%, it saves, like, 25 to 30 seconds. Anyway, back to the original video. The first trick in this level can be done immediately, and normally, you have to guitar this button over here. However, you can either stand here and do a full ball shot, or you can just bash up. You can either do this, or you can do this, which is what we actually do in most categories. After playing bungee, there's a way to skip a big part of the level. So you're just gonna jump up here, and then you're gonna easily make it out of bounds. And then you are just gonna jump over here, and then you can clip in 2 ways. You can either do a method that's extremely free, but also stupidly inconsistent. As in, there's no danger to how long it takes, but it could take ages. Or you could do a clip that's instant, but it's pretty hard. So this is the first clip. You have to jump, like, a lot earlier than you think you need to. And then the other method is just, you know, getting stuck in between this part, which I actually clipped in extremely quickly. That is very uncommon. Like I said, it's really free, but it could even take upwards of, like, 25 seconds if you're extremely unlucky. But yeah, as you can see, we skipped this whole section by here, and it was easier at that. And what better way to celebrate than to skip this entire section? Skipping this saves significantly more time. So you can go out of bounds as Patrick or SpongeBob, and they're both extremely easy. However, Patrick's faster. So if you're SpongeBob, all you have to do is this, and you'll just go out of bounds. And if you're Patrick, this is all you have to do. Yeah, it's extremely easy. In case you're wondering, by the way, some of the stuff is solid, but a lot of it isn't. And as you can see, you know, there's Sandy over here, but again, she's not solid. But yeah, we actually use this in the run, and this is why, and this makes it save even more time. So we are going to go out of bounds here, and then ceiling swim, and unlike in 3K, you don't have to keep a rhythm, you can just keep mashing. And you can just make it to this token, and you just save a ridiculous amount of time. And then all you have to do is just warp to this token's task, and then, yeah, again, you just save like several minutes. We're actually gonna slow down a bit now, though, because there are a couple things I want to do. First, I want to show you how to get to the beginning of the level as Patrick, which is normally impossible. All you have to do is this, and you're out of bounds again. And then we can just make our way back to the beginning. So yeah, you can go through this, you can go through the box. For this part, you can just stand on the statue and just make it back like this. But yeah, unfortunately, Mindy can't say anything to Patrick. Like, it'll say, talk to Mindy, but there's nothing programmed here because it's impossible to get here normally. Which really sucks, because I always wanted to get here as a kid. The other thing I want to show is where you want to cartwheel to if you're playing early powers. Because in early powers, the objective is just to get to the end of every level, so you don't need the token that you saw out of bounds, so you can just do this instead. You can either go way behind the back and enter the door that way, or you can do this. And this is quite difficult, but is perfectly doable. And when you touch the checkpoint, you can either drown in the lava because it extends a bit out of bounds, or you can just jump back through like that. I figured I might as well show you what it looks like to go all the way around with Patrick. But yeah, all you really need to do is just jump up here, and then you can just make your way around the back. Okay, so I actually completely forgot about this until just now. We are going to do something called vertical momentum storage, and it is doable on anything that gives you height storage, but this place gives you insane height. So we're gonna go out of bounds as SpongeBob, like before, and we are gonna drop down to this area like before, but with SpongeBob instead. And this is harder than with Patrick, but it's not too bad. Now, you have 2 options. Okay, I cannot believe I cut that. So, I was about to say, like, you can either do a lag up clip, or you could get a ledge grab. And I was about to say that the ledge grab is insanely inconsistent. This black spot is a visual cue, but honestly, on anything other than Xbox 360, it's terrible. And even on 360, it's bad. But yeah, you can grab the token, which I've already collected, and then you go on this conveyor belt. So you're going to bowl this button, and then you're going to get a ton of vertical height from this, and it'll look like this. So as it's going up, don't wait too long. As it's going up, just press start. And now you can warp nearly anywhere you want. You can't go to a sliding or driving level, and you can't go to a level where you haven't watched the cutscene yet for the level. Now, this is important. You need guitar for this. Or if you're Patrick, you don't need anything. But you can buffer inputs through the loads. During the loading screen, if you're warping to a location as SpongeBob, you want to hold the button for guitar and A at the same time through the load. And if you're Patrick, you just want to hold A. So I want to go to this area of Now There Were Men, and I'm going to hold R and A right now. And then as you can see, you get a ton of height, and you can grab this extra. This isn't fast, but you can still do it. All these levels have a pretty short, like, ceiling, so there's very little that you can actually do with this. This is the last one I'm going to show because, again, it's pretty limited, but this one's probably my favorite. So again, we're going to hold R and A. And now you can get up here. Yeah, look at him go. This gets kind of hard to look at after a while. Immediately into Area 2, we can do an R-clip. We're gonna go in this box and do an R-clip, like, similar to how we did in Now There Were Men, except this one's a bit harder. Alright, that wasn't too difficult. And now we can work our way out of bounds a bit. But first, have a look at this. All of this is in the background, and you never get to see it. We also believe the Planktopolis was going to be one area. As for the reason why it isn't, it's honestly probably because of GameCube. There's also jellyfish out of bounds, and they don't have any sort of pattern, so they just stay there. Honestly, this level probably had the least amount of development time. You should really get rid of that spawner first, but yeah, you can just do some ceiling swimming, make it over to this area, and then do an up clip. And as you can see, now we can just explore a little bit. Yeah, given these plants here and everything, and just how far this goes back, yeah, it's... Oh my god, okay. I didn't expect that visual effect. Yeah, this is really broken because there's no skybox. Oh, I just realized that there actually is collision here. That's very strange. I dropped down to here, and yeah, I don't know what's going on anymore. Alright, so I seem to have hit some sort of limit, so I guess this is like where an invisible wall is. But yeah, you can apparently go out this far, which is just ridiculous. Anyway, back on track, you can drop down here, and then you can just walk around a little bit. And yeah, if you keep going for a while, you can see like other platforms and stuff out of bounds. And you can make it pretty far, but there's an invisible wall here, unfortunately. So here's the final guitar glide clip that I'm gonna show. To do this as quickly and conveniently as possible, you need to solve this riddle. Normally, you can just do a double jump spin and just skip this part, or a jump spin jump. But for this clip, it actually is easier to just like do this semi-casually, you know, just guitar the buttons and just watch the cutscene. And then you can just do another guitar clip. You don't want too little height, but having too much will just waste some time. But yeah, you can just guide your way over to this side over here. And then if you're on 360, you'll have to ledge grab like in this corner, and it's really stupid and inconsistent and honestly kind of not worth it. But you would sort of just... Oh my god, dude, what is with the luck today? But yeah, otherwise, you would just do an R+A clip to get back up. And for this area, I'm just gonna show you that doing a bash boost here, like, skips this entire section. I meant it when I said a lot of the things that we do in this level, like, in a speedrun, are just easier than doing it casually. You get the warp by hitting that part. Oh yeah, also, when you're up on that platform, if you jump, like, far to the left over there, or far to the right instead of on that platform, you can stop the MIRVs over here from even spawning in the first place. I debated showing this because it's pretty complicated and there isn't that much you can do with it. But I'll just explain it quickly and show a couple examples. So we're going to do a bowl boost. So we are going to get in between these two crates. Then on the frame it pushes us out. We're going to get a huge boost from it. But I'm just going to show you how to buffer it. So first you're going to need to do a Y+R jump again. But if you go up against a wall with a quirky angle, you can sometimes get an even bigger height boost. Like that. So now we're gonna inch our way to the edge, and I'm actually gonna use the D-pad for this. I'm going to press up on the D-pad on the same frame I press start. Now here's what you do. You go into the options menu, you then press and hold B to return to this menu, and then you're going to press back, because that'll close the menu. And you're gonna start getting a lot of speed with bowl. However, you only want to hold bowl for a pretty short amount of time. You don't want to let go of it like instantly, but you don't want to hold on to it for any notable amount of time, really. And there we go. And then you can jump spin if you go too far out. You don't have to bash there, but it makes it a bit easier. Maybe this will make it easier to understand. Try and squeeze between two wooden boxes anywhere in the game, and then do the same up and start inputs. And then as you can see, SpongeBob just starts, like, moving pretty quickly. And then you can just do the inputs again. And then you can see that I got a boost. Now, as for this, you can actually cheese this boss fight a little, although it can be a little tricky still. But yeah, you just want to jump over to this part by here, and then you can just guitar the statue 3 times. And the second thing you can do is call Monumental Bash. You just, like, bash, turn around, bash again, and then you can just spam guitar here, just find the right spot and just guitar him 3 times until he's dead. Also, if you jump up to this eye, you can see that it's kind of glitchy. Like, it tracks you even when the eye closes for some reason. So I don't know what this is about, but there's 2... Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know what that is, honestly. Anyway, the last thing I'm gonna show in this level, because I think it's cool, you can just drop down here and then you soft-locked yourself. Now on to Knucklehead. Early on in Knucklehead, there's this statue that falls over, and if you don't make it in time, it'll fail you. However, it's actually possible to get stuck inside of the statue. It's been seen very few times, and I doubt it's even possible on Xbox. So I'm gonna have to pull up a clip. This is the oldest instance that I can find of this occurring. As you can see, January 2009 by someone named Pokemon6956. But as you can see, they got stuck in here, and the whole video is just, you know, them being stuck. However, I want to mention something that I don't think has ever happened to anyone else, but it's happened to me. This happened to me on PAL PS2 when I was very young. I was stuck in here for a while, but then out of nowhere, it forced me out of the statue. But that isn't all it did. It gave me a massive height and speed boost, and I got forced like 1,000,000 miles into the air. And then when I did land on the ground, I was out of bounds. I didn't have a camera or anything when I was younger though, so I couldn't record it. And I don't know why this would even push me out of bounds in the first place. Now don't get me wrong, it wouldn't be fast even if we could replicate that, because the dirt is extremely slow to drive on. But it's so weird that it's only happened to me and I don't have any proof that it happened. But yeah, I just really wanted to say that, because when else am I gonna have an opportunity to say that? The final thing I'm gonna show in this level is an out of bounds, but it's not useful unfortunately. Alright, there you go. You don't have to nitro, but it does make it easier. And then with the nitro, you can just make it out of bounds like that. You can navigate your way all the way to the end, however, you won't actually be able to complete the level because the trigger to end the level is way too high up. Also, even if you could, it would not be faster at all. But yeah, the finish line is over there, but we can't even do anything with it. We can't even go to the Krusty Krab, really. We're technically underneath the Krusty Krab. Alternatively, you could just fall into the void, which is equally funny. But yeah, all that's left now is Neptune. And then afterwards, I'm gonna go over a few more things I haven't talked about yet, because there's so massive that I wanted to save them for last. So for Neptune, if you want to make the boss fight like really easy, literally just stand up here and then he can't hit you, and you can do this on all of the phases. You probably shouldn't do it on phase 3, but still, yeah, like you can still do this on phase 1 and 2 and just make your life a lot easier. And then in phase 3, if you haven't died already, then yeah, well, spitters are getting in position now, but yeah, as you can see, bashing the spitters is infinitely better than just letting them shoot you, or even just deflecting their shots. Bashing is very consistent with this cycle. So yeah, I'm just letting people know because it makes the boss fight way easier. And the other thing you can do here, so watch now, right? On only phase 3, if you pan down, you don't take any damage. This can obviously only be done if the spitters have been killed, or else this is just not going to be consistent. You also can't pan down the entire time, because if he's beginning his attack, then, you know, that'll happen. There are 2 more tricks I'm going to go over, but I save them for now because they are massive. One of them is extremely easy to attempt, but we don't understand it very well. And the other one is very hard to comprehend, but if you have experience with the trick, you know how it works. I don't have much experience with this trick, but we will be talking about pause storage. What pause storage allows you to do is warp nearly anywhere you want and duplicate tokens. This is the biggest trick in all of SpongeBob speedrunning, and it saves almost an hour. But there are 2 versions of it. There's the GameCube and PS2 version, and then there's the Xbox version. The Xbox version is about 8 to 10 minutes faster. The GameCube/PS2 version, though, is much harder. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because I don't know too much, and because I don't think many people are going to replicate this anyway because it's so complicated. But as you see there, the runner here, Actual Chatterteeth, started a run using yes for the save preference. This is required for pause storage because you need to use the memory card. So when Chatter 1-frames this token, well, with no cheese, you can 2-frame it if you reload into no cheese. He's going to eject the memory card. And then when you try to quit the game, the menu, like, freaks out. And that was a lot to take in. So now the game is in, like, this weird state. As you can see, when you 2-frame a token, while having the game saved, it'll have, like, this little saving icon. And it's just stuck on the screen until you touch another token, essentially. Or until you eject the memory card. The game is in a weird state now, so when you try to quit the game, it just doesn't quit the game. And now you can move around while navigating through the menu. And now, Cheddar is going to select no cheese as his warp location. But then when that registers, you know when the game says, alright, you asked for it, and it takes like a couple seconds to actually warp you? In that time, you're going to pause again, and then you're going to scroll down to wherever you want in the menu, if you can do it fast enough, and it'll actually take you there instead. So watch now. So he selected no cheese, and then he opens the actual menu, and then you can see he scrolls down to depression, and then selects a second task, and then the game actually takes him there. And the run is quite difficult, so he's going to make like a lot of backup saves and stuff, like just in case. But yeah, it's to do with like, you know, saving the game, ejecting the memory card, and then like 2-framing tokens. So here's a good example of what I'm talking about. So he's going to 2-frame this token, and he's going to re-warp. And then again, he's going to do the same thing, re-quits the game, and then if you know, messes with the menu, and then he's going to go all the way to Nather and Men. The game can only register so many scroll inputs, but in this category, it's just about going from BBBH to Nather and Men, and then you're going to duplicate a lot of tokens in Nather and Men. So now he's going to 2-frame the token and then go to Flooding Block. And again, he's going to do the same thing, but now you'll see when he goes back to Nather and Men, yeah, this is how you duplicate tokens. Again, I don't understand it super well, so I apologize for not being able to go incredibly in detail. But honestly, like, this is a very hard thing to comprehend unless you've ran any percent. And now here is Xbox pause storage. Xbox pause storage doesn't require 2 frames, and the way that you set it up is different. Xbox has memory cards, but they don't work the same. You don't need to worry about those. The average Xbox has 4 gigabytes of storage, and you want to run out of storage. So either you want to corrupt your save file or fill up the 4 gigabytes. For filling up your storage, the Xbox officially supports like copying over music files and stuff. So if you have a burnt disk, you can just keep putting files on it and then transfer it to the Xbox until there's just no more storage. The much better way is to soft mod your Xbox, and then you can access the game's files, and then when you get to this game's save data, you can delete one of the save data files so that it corrupts, and then that'll give you pause storage. So say for example, you corrupt save file 1, you'll want to start the run on save file 2, and then to activate pause storage, you then try to make a save on save file 1 in the middle of gameplay. So now as you can see, Sky's picking up the token, they're not 2-framing it. But then they can get the same sort of effect without even having to select, you know, exit the game. As for duplicating tokens, I don't understand it too well, but you want the menu active, and then you drown, and then collect the end level token in Nather and Men. And then after you collect it, so you see this, Sky collected it, and then they just warped to depression. So that time Sky wasn't restricted by just having a couple seconds to warp. But that's because Sky was warping to a location that they've already been to. And then when we go back to depression, the level state has reset. As you can see by that cutscene that just played. That cutscene is only supposed to play the first time you enter the level. But when Sky goes to this token, you can see that it has been duplicated. If you have any questions, you probably could join the SpongeBob SquarePants movie speedrunning server, and then maybe you could ask Sky or Chatterteeth. The last thing that I'm going to show is bowl storage. This tech has unbelievable potential. Right now, we only have one use for it, but that use is as big as its use could be. So you know how in Knucklehead you need 50 tokens? We are going to bypass that, and quite easily too. I'm gonna go into a little more detail about what's going on after the trick's been done, but right now I'm just gonna tell you what you need in order to do Mindy Skip. So what you are going to need for Mindy Skip is an Xbox version of the game. It can be Xbox 360 via backwards compatibility, but it has to be Xbox. And it needs to be an English version of the game. It can't be a multi-language version. It can't be a multi-language version that happens to have English on. No. It needs to be exclusively English. And finally, you're gonna need SpongeBob's upgraded bowl. There are some levels where if you set this up in them, they'll crash, but generally, no cheese is a good bet. It's a little inconsistent, but yeah, so basically bowl, and then when this, like, shockwave comes out, you press start during it. Next, we are going to go to Shell City Dead Ahead SpongeBob Challenge. Yes, it absolutely needs to be this level. And then when you load in, just a little thing, if you buff a start on the input, like, you don't have to wait for the 3, 2, 1 countdown. But now, we're gonna go to Knucklehead. You are going to hold the R trigger and the A button during this entire thing from now. So now spam B. So you're holding R and A, and you spam B. And you're just gonna keep spamming and spamming and spamming until SpongeBob and Patrick eventually fall into the pit. And then What we have done is called Mindy Skip, and like I said, we have skipped the 50 token requirement. You've probably noticed by now, Ring and Time are playing at the exact same time. That's because we've basically screwed with the game pretty badly. But when you actually see this effect, you want to reload the level. And when you do load in, you can just play through the level as normal. Ball storage can do a lot of things. It can move assets, it can delete assets even. So what we have essentially done is disable Mindy's text boxes. And one of the text boxes is responsible for her asking us for 50 tokens. In case you're wondering why we were able to drive the paddy wagon even though we were talking to Mindy, that's because SpongeBob and Patrick in the paddy wagon is considered a different character compared to SpongeBob and Patrick looking at Mindy. So in reality, you actually do have control of the paddy wagon. However, Mindy keeps trying to force the menu open, so we need to drive into the pit in that state. And the reason why driving into the pit matters, sometimes a level's effect doesn't kick in properly until the level state has been reset in the level itself. So sometimes you can load into a level and then load into it again and that effect will occur. But sometimes what it takes is to die in the level. You know, dying from TNT, hot sauce, and in this case, falling into the pit. If you do the inputs for a while and it just doesn't seem like you're going into the pit, you've probably driven over it, in which case you can just reload the level and try again. If you get this camera angle, which I'll show on screen right now, that means the game is about to crash. What you have to do in that instance is either spam B or spam start to get the menu open. And then what you do in that instance then, once you open the menu, is just retry the trick. So again, you're gonna go into No Cheese Bowl, go to SCDA Sponge Bowl, and then go to Knucklehead and try it again. Mindy Skip, by the way, saves almost 20 minutes. And this is basically as much time as it could possibly ever save without like some weird wrong warping or something. This is the third biggest trick in all of SpongeBob speedrunning, only beaten by pause storage and rehydrated taxi glitch. But despite all the efforts made, this is the only way that we found to save time with bowl storage. However, there is so much potential, and I'm going to show you some examples. But first I need to show you why the tech is so unbelievably discouraging. I originally went on a big rant about this, but it was way too long, so I'm gonna try again and condense it. Just know that this is even worse than what I'm going to describe to you. First and foremost, bowl storage is different on every version of the game. GameCube can't do it, and we don't know why, and PlayStation 2 has completely different effects. For example, when you try to do Mindy Skip, the game crashes when you're in the pit and the hand's grabbing you. Second, the costume that you're wearing can change the effects of bowl storage. It doesn't look like it does anything with Patrick, but as SpongeBob using the extras menu, you can equip Plain Sponge and Mermaid Man. Third, sliding and driving levels have different effects depending on what task you're on. For example, if you do a chain that's like bowl storage to the first rock slide token to Now There Were Men, that could very well have a different effect compared to just doing the same thing but with the second task and so on. And again, the costumes change that too. And different effects can occur within the sliding and driving levels themselves. You might do a combination into Gask and the game just immediately crashes, but then maybe that's because you're on the ring challenge, and if you did the macho challenge, an effect would have occurred. Some combos force you to reload the levels, some force you to die, some only sometimes crash. Whether or not a crash occurs could depend on whether or not you've seen the in-game cutscene for that level yet. And if you think that's bad, then listen to this. Foreign versions are different. I've tried a bunch of effects on an Xbox foreign version. You know, it was a multi-language version. It had like Spanish and French and Dutch and stuff. And after a bunch of testing, I found one effect. It was completely useless, but again, like no crashes or nothing. It was just one effect after a bunch of attempts. Platforming levels are pretty unaffected in general, but look at this. This is Depression Combat. The idea here was to like spawn all 3 waves at once, or maybe beat wave 1, and then it would like cause the cutscene to play that normally plays after you do wave 3. I did this entire thing except for the no cheese row. This took ages and I got no effect the entire time. Like, imagine how discouraging this is. And again, this was without costumes, and it was only factoring the first token of every sliding and driving level. So here we have the bowl storage documentation spreadsheet. The idea behind it, like for example, this says Depression Combat. That means that we're going to do a chain, and then we're going to warp to Depression Combat as the final destination. So here, for example, we'd bowl in BBBH Combat, then warp to No Cheese, and then warp to Depression Combat. This is because warping to an extra level in the chain can cause a different effect. If anything, our most successful results have come from these chains. But you know what the worst thing is? You can chain even bigger than this. You can add another level to this. For example, you could go from BBBH Combat to No Cheese like before, but then you could go to Rock Slide and then Depression Combat, again without factoring costumes while sliding and driving token you're on, etc. We don't have any proof that doing chains even bigger than that does anything, but it is theoretically possible that that could be the case. In fact, here's another one. Here's Rubber the Ring Challenge. I did all of this. The idea here was either to get the game to stop tracking the ring so that we could do the ring challenge but act as if it was a time challenge, or to skip the ring challenge entirely. But this was the equivalent after bashing my head against a brick wall. Like, nothing happened. I could have watched paint dry and I would have gotten the exact same results. And there's way more to this. Like, here's the first Sundae Driving token. Again, technically, if you want to be thorough, you'd have to test before the cutscene is viewed and after the cutscene is viewed. It's funny how ball storage can range from doing absolutely nothing to doing this. See, here's an effect I got a while ago. This is the only proof we have of ball storage being able to just delete an entire level effectively. Like, as you can see, take a look at this. Like, most of the level is not loaded in, most of the bridge isn't here. Like, you can see some stuff in the background, but it's just not sitting on anything. A lot of the time when the game crashes, it probably is doing this, which just goes to show how weird and inconsistent this tech is. And yeah, like I said, my words cannot get across just how horrible this is. I highly encourage you try out ball storage if you have an Xbox or PS2. But yeah, enough of me ranting. We can just move on to the fun stuff now. Here's one of my favorite ones, and I actually found this one. So you're going to set up ball storage in Dennis 2, and then you're gonna go to SCDA SpongeBob, and then you're gonna go to Sandwich Driving, and I believe this only works if you have all of the tokens collected. Now, I turned the game volume up a little bit, but as you can see, the ring challenge and the time challenge are playing at the same time again, and I didn't even have to die or anything. The main menu music is playing right now. This hasn't been tried with different costumes or whatever, but honestly, you'd most likely just get no effect. And I believe if you re-warp to this level after you've already activated this effect, like, the game just crashes. By the way, I think this is the only proof that we've had that we can change music in a level. And when you make it to the finish line, this happens. Yeah, now we're soft-locked. This also happens in Knucklehead with Mindy Skip, but the timer runs out and then you can just start the level again. But here, you can't do that. You're actually just straight up soft-locked. Here's another fun one, and it's called Long Nitro. I think you can just bowl from anywhere, but when in doubt, just bowl in no cheese. And then you're gonna go to Sandwich Driving. I think it has to be the first token. Then you're gonna go to Sundae Driving. And then when you warp in, you're going to go back to Sundae Driving. Again, this needs to be the first token, I believe, as well. And it's with default costume. And now, when you get past the tunnel section, yeah, this happens. Next, we're in BBBH Combat. You're going to set up ball storage here and then go to 3K floating block. When you load in, you're going to re-warp 2 more times. And then when you load in, as you can see, that block in the distance is really badly stretched. I've actually never tested this myself. I was just looking through the through the spreadsheet. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this, but yeah, that's a thing you can do, I guess. We're going to do a pretty insane one in Rock Slide, and there's actually a ton of combinations you can do with this. But yeah, we're just going to do no cheese to Depression Combat once again. And then we're going to go to Rock Slide. Again, I don't know if the second or further tokens work with this specific combo, but they probably do. Rock Slide is a pretty broken level in general for the soul stuff because it has like a billion assets in it. But anyway, all we're gonna do now is just have the hand grab us. And then as you can see, the time challenge is active. If you beat the time challenge like this, Mindy will tell you to beat your best time. So she'll be in a state where she thinks that you've collected all of the tokens. And then when you respawn here, the timer will just be at 0 and rinse and repeat. Here's what happens if you warp back here. As you can see, we are invisible and stuck. In fact, you can't even open the menu like this. We were able to control the paddy wagon and Knucklehead, but we can't control the tub here. The tub just behaves differently. So we have disabled Mindy, but we just can't do anything. In fact, if you hold the camera down, then this happens. And the last thing I'm going to show, we need to bowl in Now That We're Men Area 1. You can go to a lot of places, honestly, but 3K floating block is a pretty safe one. And then we're gonna go to Sundae Driving. And then when you're in Sundae and then press start, you'll see that this warp is gone. Well, all of the tasks are here, but look, the tot is gone. You can also do this in SCDA, by the way. Like, you can do a lot of the same chains that you can do with Now That We're Men and get this same effect, except with Frogfish instead of Gask. It might seem strange to end the video off with the least interesting effect, but I feel like it's my way of getting across my frustrations with this trick, as well as the frustrations of grinding and grinding and grinding out, like, all of these ball storage warps just to get an effect like this, you know? We may genuinely strike gold one day, aka skipping a combat arena or ring challenge. But honestly, the fact that Mindy Skip was coincidentally found before we even knew what ball storage was is just insane. Like, that is one of the luckiest things I've ever heard of in speedrunning. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I did not show off every single thing, but I did show off most stuff. If you know of a glitch or a trick that we don't know about, you could join the SpongeBob SquarePants movie Discord server. I especially highly encourage just trying random ball storage combinations. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.